Okay, thanks for being here this evening. So I have a couple questions, and now with this in front of us, might elaborate a little bit more. But can you or someone from the team clarify what the $87 billion figure means?
Thank you for the question, Councillor Sharp. Let me start by saying the $87 billion represents a magnitude of scale, and that's an investment for Calgary to meet net zero by 2050. It is not a budget ask, and it was really a question that we asked. What does it take for Calgary, the city, not the government, but Calgary to get to net zero? With the climate emergency and the net zero target, we needed to figure out what is the magnitude. So we modeled that number, and it really was a moment in time. And we know that the way technology is changing, it is going to change. And it really is about looking at, transitioning to more efficient ways of how energy is produced, how we use energy. The market is driving the cost down, and this number will significantly be adjusted. Now, many cities do this. They look at what is the magnitude of cost. Toronto, theirs was about $146 billion to get to 2040. They're going net zero 2040. And the government calculated, the government of Canada, it would be about $2 trillion to move the economy to a low carbon economy by 2050. So it really is about an investment in the economy. So what it means specifically is it's a societal cost, so everybody, when they go to change their furnaces to, say, a heat pump, when they buy EV vehicles, when businesses use more energy efficient materials for building, that all contributes toward it. So it really was, what is that magnitude of getting to 2050, the low carbon economy?
I appreciate that clarification, but I have another question I could follow up is what's the cost to the city, not Calgary? So like us, the city, what's the cost to do this?
So right now, Councillor Sharp, we're looking at developing our 4-year plans. Just again, given by 2050, it's 30 years away, it's really difficult. You can't pin down a cost. But right now we're looking at putting forward climate actions and looking at figuring out what the costs might be. What we do know, and it's changing every day because we're right in the middle of the process of the service plans and budgeting, but certainly putting forward new initiatives is very much in alignment with many other service lines at the city. We don't have an exact figure right now, but we definitely are working on that.
I appreciate your honest answer because we are going to talk about the financial envelope tomorrow. So obviously you don't have that information to dictate any changes to that. Okay, that's okay. So looking at the recommendations, thinking about the last strategy that we have and how we're asking, or council's being proposed to rescind the 2018. What's the difference between that strategy and this one?
So the 2018 strategy was based on a different target. It was 80%. And at that point, it was a very different strategy. I think there was a lot of actions that were put forward. And what's different about this one is we've now increased that target by 20%. So we're increasing it to net zero by 2050. And we've been asked to look at the pace and scale. So how do we get there faster? So we've really focused on building out those pathways that are going to accelerate, again, the pace and scale to get to 2050. So it really is a change in target and a real focus on prioritizing. What are those pathways that are going to get us there? So it's very intentional. Anything else, Dawn, that you want to add?
I'll just add that since 2018, technology and entire sectors is changing. So a lot of the climate actions in 2018 have significantly evolved through best practice review with other municipalities in Canada and all over the world. So particularly the adaptation plan, adaptation is a very new thing. The actions in 2018 have progressed significantly over the last 3 years to match what other cities are doing. And I think just back to your key point is prioritization and ensuring the actions, or I should say strategic actions and program areas, are achieving the targets of GHG reduction and risk reduction, and not just about a number of doing things. So really looking at the things that we're doing are truly driving those targets.
Okay, thank you. So there's a couple things, and obviously you kind of addressed them, that we really don't know what's going to move, well, how we're going to move forward when we talk about budget deliberations and the cost. But when I look at some of this stuff and we talk about climate, and we always say, gosh, the climate issue is so hard, and I look at what my colleagues presented, and I feel that our solution is just setting more aggressive targets, and other than coming up with tangible solutions or how we're going to meet those targets. So this is where I find this strategy very hard, and to pinpoint my reasoning to support something like this. So my other question is, how much did the declaration of climate emergency, like what I would say, okay, let me reword this a second. How much did it influence your strategy? So what was the difference between the 2018 we declared an emergency and now you're doing this? Expand on that a little bit for me.
Okay. For one thing, I think, since 2018, there's definitely been a recognition of the sense of urgency. And that is really significant. And with respect to, like I said, we have increased the target right up to net zero by 2050. So when we looked at all of our, kind of strategic actions and really looked at what it was going to take to get there, we really focused a lot on modeling that and trying to say, okay, if we wanted to get to net zero much quicker, here's what it's going to take. And I know I would turn it over to Dawn for some additional comments.
I'll just reiterate what you said is really, it was reverse engineer the mitigation plan, especially from the 2050 target. So that was a significant change from the 2018 strategy because of the notice of motion. And then again, in the notice of motion, the language around pace and scale and moving at a more rapid pace. So it took a direct, the target drove everything versus the last strategy was more incremental measures that could be done. So it was a very different way of approaching a plan. Or I should say strategy. Apologies.
Okay, thank you for that. So then do we have a plan on how do we do all these things to report that are required in the next 5 years? Do you have a plan for that?
Currently, we are developing an implementation plan, which will speak to kind of what you were getting at with respect to the budget. We want to hone in on the next 4 years. Here's the actions. These are prioritized actions. Here's the budget that we would like to put forward, really looking at, kind of responsibility, performance measures, outcomes. So that is something we will be developing over the next 2 months.
Okay. So this is my struggle, is that I have a tough time supporting this without seeing that stuff as we implement it. Because Calgarians are asking, what is the cost to me, right? What is this going to mean to me? When they saw the $87 billion figure, everyone freaked out, right? And it's okay, everyone will. But what does this actually mean to the average Calgarian? I'm definitely going to listen to my colleagues today and hear the debate. And I absolutely support climate action and climate change, but we have to do this right. And strategies take a long time. And other cities have taken a lot longer time to get here. And I feel like we're rushing a really good thing without having all the details. And so I would say, yeah, I'm going to leave it right now. And I'm going to hear my other colleagues. And if there's an opportunity to offer more debate, I will. But thank you for all the work that you guys have put in this. I know it's been a journey. And I wish we had more tangible figures in this report at this point. So thank you.